Didn't see you there. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the TJR Auto channel. If you don't know, my name is Tyler. Now you know. So, if you're a returning viewer, or if you've seen my other videos, then you know I hurt this baby girl right here. I hurt my good old 04 GTO. Her name is Gemma. Basic LS1, cammed, 6-speed car. Super fun, makes just under 400 horsepower to the wheels. But because it's so fun, I abuse it. And because I abused it, I hurt it. So, for those who remember, this thing probably got put down about a month ago, I'd say, give or take. At least, probably about a month. And I miss driving this thing. I truly do miss detailing this car. I love GTOs, I love the platform. They're really funky, but I love it. The 5-speed Grand Marquis, Bonnie, she's been doing phenomenal. Been daily driving it, had minor to no issues. That's why I haven't made a video in a while, because I've had nothing to make a video about, and I know you guys don't want to hear me ramble, because there's a lot of comments that say that. So I don't blame you, because I wouldn't want to watch it either. But anyways, what we're going to be doing in today's video, possibly the next couple videos, I don't know how long these videos are really going to be, but we're going to put this old girl up in the air, and this is going to be the first T56 Tremec 6-speed trans that I have pulled. I've never had a T56 problem before. I've only ever had Ford 5-speed problems, but I jinxed myself, and this car decided to say, hey. So, it makes noise in every gear, except when you have the clutch pushed in, or in 4th gear. Makes other people, and which makes me to believe that it's either the input shaft bearing and or possibly the counter shaft bearing. Now, I don't know shit about transmissions. I'm sure some of you guys don't, some of you guys probably do. So we're basically in this ride together. And either I'm going to make myself look like a master scientist, or I'm going to make myself look like a complete dumbass. I bought a $150 bearing and seal kit from AMP Distributing, I believe it's called. And we're going to give it a shot. I mean, the worst thing that happens is it doesn't fix the issue, or I somehow make it worse, and then I'm still out anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 if I'm going to take this trans to a shop to be rebuilt, or if I just buy like a new Magnum or some shit, or buy another T56. So, as Taylor Ray says, enough jibber jabbering. Let's get this old hog up in the air and start pulling her guts out one by one. I'm not excited, but I am excited. I also want to throw one thing in before I actually start playing with the car. I did clean up a lot of my garage, so you can see how much room I have from the goat to the workbench. And then if we come over here, I actually set up a new shelving rack. This is all the spare wood that I have. I got to move that somewhere. But I set up a new shelving rack, got a bunch of shit on it, and you can see how much room I also have on this side of the car. So having a clean and having obviously as spacious as possible work environment definitely puts odds in your favor. So yeah, I'm hoping to move the rest of this that shit there. I can't look in the camera and do this kind of stuff. Hoping to move this shit, that shit somewhere else, put it with other shit. Type R. Maybe even set up a folding table right here, and that's where I want to play with the trans itself when I actually have it out of the car. And also another thing that I bought, which I think is pretty cool, is I bought a trans jack. 130 bucks at Harbor Freight. I've heard they're good. I've also heard they're shit and they really don't help. So we're gonna see how that goes. But my buddy Mike with the 67 Goat, as you guys always see in the videos, he's always helping me out. So I cannot thank him enough for the amount of help that he gives me, right? And this kid works like a horse, okay? If you tell him what the objective is, he is 5 steps ahead of you just because he is good like that. So Mike, shout out to you. I know you're watching this, but he's going to be coming by tonight, so hopefully I can get basically everything done except for the heavy part. God forbid this trans jack does not work. But let's get this pig up in the air, baby. All right, so she's up in the air. I have my jack just keeping a little bit of pressure on the differential. I have my witchmacoodles, my race ramps facing opposite ways. In my eyes, if the car is going to try to roll or move at some point, it's not going to really favor one direction. It's going to surprise me. And then up front, I have jacks your jack stands go into the main frame rails. And I also cut these little pieces of wood, basically just to give me that little extra oomph, so I can comfortably work on this. Right, how much of a mess can Tyler make? Oh my God. Oh, she's flowing. That's actually really clean looking fluid. Look at that. Oh, at the moment it's clean. Oh God, why is it backing up? Oh shit. Oh shit, that's gonna overfill, isn't it? Not. Let's see. Well, there's no big chunk sitting right there, so that's a good sign. Honestly, I would expect to see a little bit of metal on the pan. So if this is a little sparkly from it, that would make sense. I mean, if this thing ate a bearing or two, you know, it's gonna show wear. But I'm gonna let this thing drain and keep on chugging. All right, fluid's drained. The wiring harness has been taken off the trans. My boy Mike showed up for all the help as always.
Hello.
And right now we're tackling the drop shaft bolts.
With a fat ass Allen key.
Yeah, I have no idea what size that is, but it is big. So yeah, he's doing that. Right now the car is basically just off the ramps. It's in neutral, no parking brake on, so we can rotate it freely to get to where we need to. And when the time comes that he has to crack a bolt loose, I just put the parking brake back on and we're good to go. All right, me and Mike just got the drive shaft out. As you can see, it's scored up from the seatbelt bolt and the heat shield. You know, everything here looks just as you'd expect for a drive shaft. Everything looks fine. Let me see the battle scars. All right, so after some pain and suffering under the ship box, this is where we're at. So, again, drive shaft obviously is out. Cross members dropped. All of the plugs are gone. I drained the fluid first thing earlier. I actually disconnected the shifter from up top, so there's no shifter arm going up there, but the plate's still on. And Mike just zipped out and suffered through taking all of the, I guess you want to call it the adapter plate or the mid plate to the bell housing.
That was easy.
Yeah, so that's why there's
That's the reason why I'm drinking.
Well, that's why we got a 2-foot extension on here. That was fun. But basically now, we have this thing strapped down pretty, not really that decently. This is actually pretty loose. Yeah. But now what we're going to do is we want to split the bell housing from the mid plate, or like the adapter plate, only within like an inch or two. And then what you want to do is you reach in with a 10mm wrench. You undo the hydraulic throwout bearing, and then you don't have to disconnect the lines or anything. You can leave all that shit floating by the bell housing. And from there on out, we basically slip the trans out, and that's a done dealio right there. Flash. All right, so I got Mike at the tail pulling on it a little bit, and we already split the bell housing from the main transmission, I guess you want to call it, or the main, you know, thing. Just look how, all right, first of all, look how fucking nasty this is. This thing's already dripping oil on the ground. But aside from that, you can see one bolt right there. That should be a 10mm, and then there's one on the opposite side of that. So it's gonna be a pain in the ass to reach, but once those two are out, like I said, the hydraulic, ooh, it's a big bug. What the fuck is this thing? It's a nasty looking motherfucker. Why are you sitting there, bro?
Yeah, make sure you show this too.
What?
I don't think it's supposed to be like that.
Is that crinkled?
A little bit.
Hey. Ew. Ew, get away from me, motherfucker. Go. Why'd you run right fucking at me when I blew on you? Alright, he's over there. He's safe. He's fine.
You see
that? Is that fuck?
It's supposed to be in the rail.
Oh my god.
Look
How'd that come out?
I don't know. I'm not worried about it.
Shit. Well, this thing's gonna serve no purpose. It's gonna come right out though. Alright, we already broke the jack. You know, that's probably why you're not supposed to use an impact on it. Honestly, that's probably why. Alright, well, this is gonna get sketchy, but I'm game. Alright, so I'm gonna pop these two 10mm bolts. Hydraulic throwout bearing will stay towards the clutch, which you can see right there is the pressure plate for the clutch. And then once this is out, we can fucking yank on it, get this piece of shit out, and then see how fucked it is, right, Mike?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, so as always, thank you to Michael. She's out. Wasn't the hardest thing in the world. Honestly, I would agree that the marquee was probably more of a dick ache to do, but you know, it's there. So you can see just how nasty this thing is. And it literally was dripping engine oil out of it. So I'm gonna take a guess and say my rear main is gone, or my oil pan gasket is completely shot, or just not tightened. One or the other. It's hard to say with this car. But Mike, can you just hold the trans straight for a second, even if you put your foot on it?
Yeah.
So basically, when I move this input shaft, this thing should not move at all. We have a little bit in and out, it seems like. Up and down, side to side, we get pretty good bit. Might be hard to tell on camera. But, he's surfing. Yeah, you can hear that. So,
Feel it.
yeah, it seems like that may be a good sign that the oh my god, that the input shaft bearing's bad, which is what we want. All I'm aiming for is the input shaft bearing and the counter shaft bearing. So, yeah, that may be good. It may be good. It may be shit. That's hard to say. Yeah, here she is in all of her prime. And again, shout out to Chris at Tick Performance for the beautiful Tick shifter made in the USA, baby. Look how good that thing looks on there. The whole trans should be that color, but, you know, that's a different day. And then the output shaft does not have any wiggle to it at all. So I'm going to take a guess and say the bearings on the back side of the trans are probably all right. But she's out. It's been a long fucking day. Yeah. It's going to be banging gears in no time. Know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say?
No. It's coming.
All right, want to hold the trans?
Yep.
Moment of truth, ladies and gents. I don't even know what I'm looking at.
I don't either.
I don't. All right, let's think. If I do this,
How do you know it's bad?
it's a great fucking question, honestly.
I don't even want to touch it.
So this is the input shaft bearing, right?
That looks bad. What?
I didn't do fucking shit. I didn't rig shit.
No.
She's toasted. That definitely hurt this one. Might be able to just replace this end. Yeah, they're sharp. Watch out. Guys, want to see the carnage? That was
spin now. Well,
no.
this one looks good.
Yeah, I don't know.
At least
Dude,
it's right
oh,
there.
what? You know what scares me? That means that fucking metal.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. Where did that go?
This whole thing's gotta come apart. All right, well, that's my input shaft. As you guys can see, is fucked.
I didn't fucking do this.
I mean, the bearing does move. Don't think that that's up to spec.
Look at this shit. Look. Like nothing.
That's what I don't get, dude. I almost want to run it.
Look, that's what I'm saying. It'll roll right through that.
That's crazy. Oh, you know, I see a chipped tooth on the other wheel. Keep spinning. I'll tell you when to stop. See right there?
Wow.
So one chipped tooth. I'm sure those are not in the best shape, but honestly...
So it spins freely when I hold it down and do it. That's fucking crazy.
That's pretty rough. I also might as well mention, right by my open window here, I laid a towel down on the workbench, so I have a surface to start laying parts out onto. I think I am going to run out of room for parts, so I might have to put a table here and put another towel on it, or expand this way. We'll see what happens when we go through it, but yeah, so that's good. And then also I brought my laptop out here, so I have Spotify on it, so at least I can listen to some jams so I don't beat my head into the wall and start licking the window. But I also was able to pull up the T56, service and rebuild manual from Tremec. This is free on Tremec's website and literally tells you everything, how to take it, how to take it apart, how to reassemble it, all the bits and pieces and all that goody. It's 48 pages long. There's a lot. There's It's 48 pages long. There's a lot of stuff in here. So yeah, this is definitely going to take me a while to pull apart, just because I've never done it before. There's no reason for me to rush it and mess it up. I already know I'm going to have to wait on parts, so if I can get this thing stripped down today entirely, that would be nice. Would be nice, so you know, I can order my parts and let this thing clog up the garage for who knows how long. So let's get at it. That's in our way is there's one roll pin in here holding the, I think this is like the rear offset lever, which if you guys watched my shifter install video, this is actually a different length than like a Camaro F-body trans would be, like T56, so just so you know. But there's one roll pin in here. Unfortunately my center punch is too big, so I'm going to try to use this shitty drill bit. Hope I can get that out. There's also a hole in here for fluid, so I'm going to put a piece of paper towel in here so it can't fall into the trans, and keep my weight rested on here so the trans can't really move. All right, that's out. Here's the roll pin that goes through there. So I'm just going to slip that. Oh, no, different direction. How is this thing on here? I don't want to lose this. Apparently, it's supposed to replace all these pins, so I'm just going to gently push that in, so at least I can't lose it. All right, now for the tail shaft bolts, we have 8 15mm bolts. I already cracked them loose, and I'm just going to run them off. And again, these honestly, I'll probably put right back into the tail housing once I get the tail housing off. All right, so I've probably been prying on this thing for a solid at least 30 minutes. I have not been able to get this tail shaft housing off. Now, the reason why is because from factory, they give you 2 pry spots that you should be able to take the bolts out, maybe tap it a couple times around the edge like I did originally, and just simply pry it off. Well, both pry spots are broken off of this transmission. So I basically had nothing to pry off of. I broke a screwdriver trying to weasel its way in there, and it's just like, I can't catch a break. But after enough heat, I was able to get this thing to crack. So, and I didn't like it, but I was hitting it with my rubber mallet on the bottom of the shifter housing, and I was able to pop it upwards. So I already know the inside of this thing's probably gonna look horrible, but I finally got popped. So it's, oh, no, we don't want to do that. Well, ooh, I don't like that. That's not good. All right, so here's the tail shaft housing, as I showed. It's basically the only parts I've pulled off so far, that and the bolts, which I will slip in. This is what it looks like in here. And I don't know if that's right, but this race can move freely in and out, so I'm assuming that's probably bad. So yeah, that's all that stuff. Then look at this. So like I said earlier about the magnets, there's the 2 magnets. They caught all the nasty. But the real question is how much nasty touched everything else before it got back here. That's what I'm concerned about. So now what I'm gonna do is give everything a very, very, very hard and solid look over to see what everything looks like and make sure that there's not more damage, you know, as I keep moving forwards, baby. Buddy Mike came here, saved the day once again, brought me a brand new pair of snap ring pliers. So he told me not to pay him, but I owe him the money. Nope. He's the money man. Nope. So now, I think I just pulled off the tail shaft housing. So now, basically all the next steps are just like snap rings and pulling on shit and whatnot. So first off, this little rubber thing, this comes right off. That goes there. Well, just watch your eyes, because I've never used these before, so I don't know if I trust myself. That's a little scary.
Yeah.
All right.
That wasn't so bad.
That alone describes how this whole transmission's gonna go. So I'm gonna try to lay everything out in order, without fucking anything up. Now I believe this is your speedo gear. So this also should just. Oh, that does not feel happy. Should be able to slide right off. So that actually, is that missing a tooth? No, it's a notch.
Have a groove, right?
Yeah, that's not supposed to be there though. It's all cut up.
Ooh,
That might not affect it though. That's on the bottom side of it. So that's what that looks like. Other than that, it looks fine. It's not missing any teeth or anything. Got a slight chip out of it, well, one of them. But I'd say that's actually like
Sponsored.
savable.
Sponsored.
I wish. Please, somebody sponsor me. All right, now we have another snap ring.
Oh boy.
This is gonna take 45 minutes just to get one off. I can guarantee it. Never played with snap rings before, and I can already tell I don't ever want to do something like this again.
Yeah.
That's gone. That's gone. That's good. Oh, where the fuck did that go? I think that went up.
$20 snap ring.
Basically. All right. Well, that was that snap ring. And then now I believe this cage bearing. Oh, sorry, another snap ring. All right, so we got that horrible snap ring off with the horrible tiny pliers. So that was the one that sat right in this groove. So now that that's off, we get to pull off this collar and the needle bearing. So this is gonna go right there. We have this thingy. Ah, we have another one. All right, so we have another spacer. So I'm actually gonna do this. I know that those stay just like that. And if you look down here, we have one more of those big ass ones, and then the spacer comes off, and then this gear should slide right off. All right, again, Mike just got that other snap ring off. So now we have this washer thingy, whatever you want to call that. So this will go here. Again, I'm trying to keep everything in line.
Minus one snap ring.
Yeah. And this should come off. There's no other. All right, so go figure. Mike's really strong, so he ripped this thing right off. So I believe this is your 6th gear. And basically what you want to do is look at all of these, which look rounded to hell and back. This is either reverse or 6th, I forget. But these are supposed to be pointy tipped, and these actually look kind of rounded. I don't know if these 2 notches are normal, but they are straight across, so they probably are. So, yeah. Other than that, all the teeth are good on it. So, probably usable, but we'll deal with that later. So that's going to go right there. And then down here, on the shaft itself, we've got these 2 needle bearings that sit right inside of that, or cage bearing if you want to call it that. It's literally a cage bearing. So that sits inside of that gear. And then right down here, we have this flimsy ass washer. And we also have your synchro.
Yeah, was that brass?
I think so, some sort of brass or, yeah, probably brass. And these actually don't look too bad until they have a point to them.
Yeah.
Almost, if you look at it that way, it almost looks like a house kind of. You know, it has like, you know, like a roof.
Yeah,
you want to call it that?
Yeah.
So those actually don't look half bad. This doesn't look like it's seen a lot of shit. And then, let's see, so I'm actually just gonna put that back on here. That sits in there. And it's like I said, I think this is actually for your reverse shift fork or some shit it's called. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure, again, Tremec recommends to replace that in their book. Going? All right, Mike just got the next horrendous snap ring off that was sitting down here, holding this assembly in. So now we can pull this all off in one shot. Oh. So here, I believe this is a shift fork technically, and these are your shift fork pads. So there's a bunch of people and a bunch of places that sell these in like a billet aluminum or a billet bronze. Yeah, so that's what they're talking about. And this, I believe, is your synchronizer. And then I think this, so this piece pulls right up on the main shaft. No clue what this is. I would have to refer back to the manual. This looks like it's in great shape. So hey, we got like one savable piece out of the trans. Ain't that nice?
It does look good.
Yeah, all the teeth look good. The inside of here, the splines look good. And this doesn't look too worn out. Any score marks or anything. So that's a plus, I guess. So that's going to be the end of that line right there. We're going to start over this way now. All right, so now we have basically most of the main shaft of the output shaft disassembled. We're going to be moving on to getting the, I believe this is the counter shaft or counter shaft extension out. So right inside of here, there's one little snap ring. See it right here. So I'm going to grab that. Fucking hate that beeper.
Oh, that won't come out so easy.
Because this is one of the nice ones. All right, we're gonna start our line down here again. And now, this should be able to wiggle its way out. Okay. Well, there's that. I think this is, this might be 5th gear. I think this is actually 5th gear, this. I think. Gear itself actually looks fine. Oh, it's not what we want. This would go like that. Good. Okay, that shift fork actually comes off with that synchronizer ring, so I took that off. That's over there. And now we have this other gear. I'm gonna try. Oh shit, the magnet got that. Fuck. Alright, here's this piece. So it says, oh baby, it's got like a baby little ring, so I'm definitely leaving that in there. It's also got a cage needle bearing on the inside. Not sure which gear this technically is, but this is coming off the counter shaft. And this one looks good. I think that's just like shit on it, but it's actually, yeah, you can see metallic that came off. But I think it's actually a clean gear, which is a good news to me, and even better news to my pockets. Teeth on here don't look too bad. See, these still have their point for the most part. All of these still see their point. That's what you want to see. If we flip it over, nothing else that's special. So gotta go like this. And since this came out of here, I'm gonna put all of them back together the best that I can. Work on it. Not fucking touch that shit. All right, that's good. So now we're down in here, and you can really just see just how much shit is sitting on that. It's disgusting. Horrible. Oh wow, this camera's covered me fucking fluid.
Yeah, it's a little blurry.
You can cut it. I gotta look back at the video and see. All right, so now I just pop these 4 bolts out of here. Little shorties, I believe they're 13 mil. So this came right out. And this plate, you just gently got to pry off. And yeah, so that's that. And then in here, let me grab my light. We actually have a pin here. All right, so I popped the dowel pin that was in here, popped that out. And now obviously the transmission now is laying flat once again. And now Mike is popping out all of those faceplate bolts that we popped last night and got really bad news. But now the casing will be getting pulled off of the trans. That's like I said, we got those bolts off. Now we stood the trans back upright. Mike is currently taking out, I don't know if my phone charger's long enough. There's 2 Torx bits. I don't know what size that is. Those 2 basically have to come out. And then once those 2 are out, T40. So we got 2 T40s there. Then once those come out, we basically can pull the main case up. But I do know, I've heard through the grapevine, that when you go to pull this case up, that's a funky bolt. When you go to pull this case up, you need to keep your hands on this piece here, because it will apparently shoot out. There's I think it's called the detent or detention ball and spring that's holding this assembly together somehow. So when we pull this up, we're just gonna be very careful and keep our eyes out in case it flies, so we don't lose it like the snap ring that's supposed to be back there. All right, so we very carefully were able to get the casing off. So this is basically what we're left with. And as I had mentioned in the previous clip, this is the piece that you need to keep your hand on while you're pulling that out. So like earlier, you saw me beat this dowel pin in, right, which goes into this slot through the rod. It actually is this dowel pin. And this is where the spring sits. And this is your detent ball, I believe it's called, which gets pushed up against this in the casing of the shell. Actually, I believe it's in there, obviously, where the ball is. So it sits in like these slots, and I guess it gets rolled over into the next spots. So definitely want to keep all that together. Definitely do not want to lose that shit. So we're going to keep all that right there. That's good. These are those 2 bolts that came out right here, the T40 heads. So actually, I'm going to scoot those over. Those will go right there. And like I said, now you have your probably 10 or 20 pound casing and the rest of the carnage. So like I showed originally when we opened this thing up last night for the first time, this is that gear that's destroyed. So now you can see basically we had to work away from the ass end to get to that point. So now we're gonna do a bunch of inspections and I guess just keep pulling shit apart. Yep. Okay. All right, so I jumped the gun a little bit and I swung this arm off of something over here. So now I believe this arm will actually come out. Yep, so that's that shaft. Don't know if you want to call that like the shift rail. I think it's like the shift rail assembly or something like that. You can see how these move like that. So basically we can pull up on the main shaft a little bit and move it over and the counter shaft will actually come out. So this. Oh shit. All right, so here's your counter shaft. Stand that there for a second. Pop that back into place. All right, that's at least rested. So here's your counter shaft. All right, so again, this is one of the bad bearings I showed last night. I believe that's bad. Can't picture that's a good bearing. This is what they call the bearing race. This piece that the bearing actually sits in. But this has a chipped tooth, and I think there wasn't this split?
Yeah.
A split on this side. And you can actually see in here, some of the teeth actually got split, chewed up and whatnot from all the carnage, because this directly spins on 4th gear, which is the one that I ate up entirely. So since this is off now, I can put this on the bench. That's good. And then now, the main shaft will come out along with, I believe this is 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. This is the shift rail, I believe, this piece here. So all this will come off, this will separate. Oh shit, all right, that moved a lot, okay. Yeah, like I said, this is actually pretty heavy, holy shit. Whew. All right, I'm gonna put that down, it's actually really fucking heavy. So then we have, this is the shift rail. Last but not least, my favorite, the input shaft. Just chewed the hell and back. So at the minimum, I'm definitely going to be doing the bearings and the strands and the seals, replacing all the races. I'm going to have to shim the bearings, or shim the races, I guess you can say, to get everything back in the spec. But because this thing's chewed up as bad as it is, I'm going to have to replace this entire input shaft because it's all one piece. Of course, the bearing comes separate, but I already have the bearing kit, so it's fine. But yeah, at the minimum, I know I need to replace input shaft, bearings, seals, and probably that counter shaft. Since it's got the chipped teeth and whatnot, I don't trust it. But yeah, that's fully apart. So I'm just gonna keep looking over everything and make sure everything else looks good. I don't want to skip over any cracked, chipped teeth and fuck me down the line later, even harder than I already did. So yeah, that's that. That's how you take apart a T56 down to a bare fucking plate.